I believe that action movies of today are an insult to the genre, and here's why. A great action movie can be truly amazing cinema. The suspense that you feel from, the build up to a wild action sequence that leaves you with your jaw dropping to the floor, it's amazing. It's pure entertainment. But for me, that will only be true if there is an engaging story behind it. So what I think I'm trying to say is that an action movie can be great, but it can also suck. Over the last 20 years or so, action movies have become more focused on showing over-the-top action sequences and less concerned about the quality of the storytelling, instead relying on old, tired, repetitive formulas. I've been thinking quite a lot about this, and I think why I am so passionate about it is because when I think about action movies, I think about my childhood. I think if you're a 90s kid, like my brother and I, you were born at the right time as far as being a lover of the genre goes, because you had so many great action movies to watch. From your dad's VHS tapes of 80s action era movies like Die Hard, Rambo, Indiana Jones, fucking Terminator, to then the more nuanced and complex action movies of the 90s with films like The Fugitive, Heat, Matrix. I mean, the 90s really were the golden era of action movies. But anyway, let's move on. So before I explain why I think action movies of today are not that great, I think it's worth defining or breaking down what I believe are the main factors behind a great action movie. So first of all, it needs to stick to storytelling fundamentals. Any movie needs a clear structure and a clear purpose. And if it's an action movie, then you want to thrill and engage the audience. Die Hard is a good example of that. So it's about a New York City police officer who tries to save his estranged wife and several others who are taken hostage by terrorists during a Christmas party. So that is a relatively uncomplicated plot. But what makes it great is that you feel an emotional connection to the protagonist and the story as a whole. John McClane needs to save the woman he loves and several others from terrorists, but as the caption reads, it's his estranged wife. So that just sort of alters the challenge and conflict for the protagonist, which is felt by the audience. I love the small detail that he is barefoot. It's sort of, it implicitly hints at how much of an underdog he actually is. He's going against terrorists by himself, and the man's got no shoes on.
One damn shoe. So y'all walking around here got two shoes. I used to do comedy barefoot.
Those are the type of subtleties that I really enjoy. Another thing that Die Hard does well is stakes and consequences. The action really means something for the story as it unfolds.
Now I have a machine gun.
In The Fugitive, you don't get too many over-the-top action sequences, and you don't get too many action sequences, period. But what you do get is you get a lot of suspense from the feeling that action, chaos might erupt at any given moment. And that can be just as satisfying. And for me, it's really important for the story. Having said that, you of course also want well choreographed, cool action sequences that are fucking bananas. But it has to make sense. They have to be met by the stakes. The robbery scene in Heat is a perfect example, because as that happens, you've invested so much in the main characters' respective storylines. De Niro's character and Al Pacino's character have had this high stakes game of cat and mouse throughout the movie. So when the robbery scene unfolds, the intensity is jarring, it's mind-blowing, because everything has been led up to that moment. So do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I mean, the action needs to be met by the stakes, because otherwise you're just watching dumb, jockey, oversaturated action. And the last thing I'll say about what I don't like about action movies of today is that they include too much comedy. And don't get me wrong, an action comedy is an entirely different thing, because then you have comedic characters that are involved in a story that is filled with action sequences. But an action movie that tries to be serious and funny, and a little bit too funny, a little bit too often, it's not for me. And there's one in particular that I'm thinking about, and that is Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. I rewatched it recently, and my god, there are so many scenes in this movie where right before, during, or after the action takes place, there's a stupid joke that is just thrown in there, or something, a comedic bit, whatever, you know. There's, for example, this scene in the beginning of the movie where Ethan Hunt is set to escape from prison, and as he is escaping, he's getting support from Simon Pegg's character, and they get to a point where they have this back and forth on what is the best way to escape. And that's supposed to make the audience laugh, but my point is, why would you want to make the audience laugh at that moment? You know, Ethan Hunt is in an extremely tense and dangerous situation, and by inserting comedy, then you just sort of nullify the suspense. And for me, you kind of break the spell, you know. So anyways, those are my 5 cents. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to know what you think, so please let me know in the comments if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, whatever calls you. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.